when you're thinking about what tool should I use, what technology should I use, think about what you're trying to measure, and does that authoring system, does that tool fit what you are trying to do, rather than identify technology and see how you can use it. Choose the right tool for the job. Also, you get what you pay for. So there are quite a few free tools out there, and they usually come with advertisements or may not have all of the bells and whistles, the features that you need. So it depends on your resources and the institution that you work for. So when you're looking at the tools, it's important to look at what item types are offered through those tools. Here we have selected response and open-ended response examples. So selected response, where there's a closed answer, true or false. The instructor may be selecting, the learner, test taker may be selecting an answer. And then we get to the open-ended responses, usually short-ended responses or sometimes longer essay responses where the student types directly on the screen. And these were emerging item types back in 2001. Today, we have different types of item types because of the technologies that have been developed recently and the internet and Web 2.0 and HTML5. This is an example from a place, or a screening task rather. Let's take a look at this one. This is a reading task and checking grammar. So we look at the instructions. Click on the extra words as you go, and they will become highlighted. This is just an image, so you won't be able to click on this. But if you're interested, you could check out the link and try it yourself. This is an open example. So the way that this works is that the student would click on a word, and it would highlight the word that does not belong in the sentence. And this seems more technologically advanced and more modern. But I want you to think to yourself for a moment, what else is this measuring that a selected response from this earlier page may or may not be measuring? So if we take a look at number 1, testing has long been an integral part of the language instruction. This has true or false. It could have different words, and the learner would need to select which word is not appropriate for that sentence. Of course, that's not the same type of item as here. So with the new technologies, we have different item types, but they're measuring different abilities and different skills. And in this case, we have the ability to have an authentic, cohesive text, longer text. And this is also similar to what students may be doing when they are learning or when they are working on the computer for another purpose. Here you have a highlighting, which many students are now doing with text. And so it simulates what students are doing in real life, which makes it more authentic for the learner. I'm not going to go through all of these item types, but if you'd like to spend some time taking a look at different item types, the OWL website, it's a test management system, has examples of the item types that they offer. And they are item types that let the test developer collect not only text, but also voice. The test taker can click on an image, so they're location items as well. So I've put the link at the top for you to explore the samples. When you're developing a test, it's important to think about what item types you want to include in the test, if they are available through technology, and if they match what you're doing through a learning task. So right now, I'd like to take a look at an example of Google Forms. This is part of the Google Suite, or G Suite, and this is a very useful way of creating tests. What I'd like everyone to do now is to go on to this site and complete this quiz. Please go ahead and answer the question. So this is the instructor view. This is a quiz that I created using Google Forms. I'm just going to walk through this and look at some of the features. So far we have 26 responses, 27 were collected. And there are a couple of ways to see the responses. Here we can take a look at aggregated responses here to see how well the overall class is doing. Or you can take a look at each of the items individually. And another way then to look at the responses is a spreadsheet here. And this collects the date and time that the student completed the assessment and their answers. So this assessment also then has the complete score. It does not show you which of these were correct or incorrect. There are add-ons that you can install to show you which has the correct answer or not. So this is one way of looking at it. And you can look at the responses by question or by each individual who has completed the assessment. You can go through, and it takes the time, and you can print. I'm just going to go through a few features on how this was developed, because this is similar to survey software. Survey software can be used to develop quizzes as well. However, if we go into settings, here, this icon here, we can see quizzes, and this is what we select to make the survey a quiz. And then we have other options here. We can release the grading immediately or after you as the instructor have reviewed the responses. And the respondent can see missed questions or correct answers if you leave these selected. You can also collect email addresses or a name for the student to put in their name, so you know who has completed the assessment. Of course, that was not done on this one, so all of your responses are anonymous. That's not something you'd like from a test. So something like this is very simple to put together, simple to use, and simple to collect responses. And you can allow the students to see whether their answers were correct immediately or later. This can be used for formative or summative assessment. And if the students see their scores immediately, this could be used for online courses, or if you were to do this in a classroom, in a hybrid classroom, the students could look at the answers that they got incorrect and discuss them to agree on what the correct answer is. One way that we can use technology is to evaluate the questions in the test itself. This is a very useful site, languagetesting.info, has a lot of information about language testing. But I'd like to draw your attention to a link in the site that has Excel templates, score converter, distractor analysis, item facility. So if you'd like to explore the evaluation of the test development a little bit further, I would recommend taking a look at this site. Here's an example of what it can do. So if the answers from the test were in ABC format or other format other than zeros and ones, there is a template that can help you to convert those to ones and zeros, so correct and incorrect. And then that could be used for different statistical procedures. Or you can use the responses and the distractor analysis template, for example, to take a look at how many students were choosing the correct answer and how many were choosing the distractors. And if there's a very low number choosing the distractors, well, either your your students are very smart, you've taught them well, or maybe that distractor is not distracting as well as you'd like it to be. And this would be an indication that you could take a look at improving the test. Let's take a look at another type of test. This is a computer adaptive test. This uses an algorithm that is too complex for most of us to implement. So if the student completes the test, the question, and gets it correct, then it presents the test taker with a question that is more difficult, and it continues throughout this process until it finds the level that is most appropriate for that test taker. And so some of the benefits of this approach are that students can work at their own pace, and it's level appropriate, so they're not completing a lot of easy test tasks. Immediate feedback, because it usually is administered in a shorter period of time. And now with the technology that we have, the students can be presented with listening or video or images. And so it's gone beyond our traditional text-based assessments. So another question, how does technology used to assess language change the way language is assessed? Or think about this question, how might it change the way we interpret the meaning of a test score? So for example, if we're asking our students to complete a reading test on a smaller tablet or even a phone, since the screen is smaller, there's going to be more scrolling, and it's going to be different reading than if they were presented the reading passage on a larger 11, 13-inch screen. Or maybe it's not so different. If more of our activities are on smaller tablets and phones, students are reading the information on these smaller devices, is that an issue for language assessment? Automated scoring is something that is in demand. We all like the essays to be scored and the speech samples to be scored. The goal, however, is for the computers to score them as similar to a human rater as possible. There are a lot of key words that you may hear: natural language processing, speech processing, artificial intelligence, machine learning, automated essay scoring. These hold promise for assessment in the future. However, it's not as easy for the computer to assess language, and particularly to assess it as a human would assess language. Some of the more practical tools we can look at are Chrome extension, for example, Grammarly, where you can embed this program into your web browser. And anytime you type, it will give you feedback if you misspell a word or if there is a grammar error, and alert you while you are actually producing language. A couple other tools here, Read and Write and Fluency Tutor, are produced by a company called TextHelp. These began as accessibility tools to help those learners with that maybe have trouble seeing or trouble hearing, but they're actually very helpful for language learners. And Fluency Tutor, for example, allows the instructor to present the students with a text that they choose, and the students can then hear the text read aloud by different voices that they choose. Then after the student has listened enough, they can record themselves reading the passage. Once they've recorded themselves, they send that sample to the instructor, and the instructor can listen to their language production and mark up the words using different categories to give feedback to the student. This can then all be tracked within this system, and you can see their words per minute and see the time it takes to read the passage, an ongoing score, and other information. And TextHelp has partnered with Google, so this could be implemented and integrated into the Google Classroom as well. Other sites are more readily available. They're free, such as languagetool.org, which allows real-time feedback for grammar and text, as seen in this screenshot. These are grammar checkers, vocabulary checkers, spelling checkers. There are also tools such as Turnitin.com or the free version Paperrater that will check for plagiarism, see how much of the text was taken from another source. They're looking for original work, as well as checking for grammar and vocabulary. There are many more applications that are mobile first and also game-based. And so I'd like to share with you a tool called Quizlet. And this has a desktop version, but I'd like to take a look at the mobile version, and this is some screenshots from my phone. So this has, if you look at the left, it says allow notifications. One of the advantages of having learning and assessments on mobile devices is that they can send the user notification to make it more personalized. The student's not always carrying around their tablet or their laptop and that it's open. They will have phones or tablets available. And so this Quizlet is a flashcard tool. But their new feature is the Learn feature, and this uses machine learning and adaptive mode so that the student, as they're learning, receives immediate feedback. The questions will get harder and harder as they go along, and we'll keep track of which of the words they got correct or incorrect. And here's an example of some of the feedback, if they got the word correct or if they got the word incorrect. And it gives motivational statements here, and you can see at the bottom some feedback showing that their overall progress, and each time they complete the round, how many they're studying, how many are new. And it changes the vocabulary words that are given to the student, and also the type of task, whether they have to write the word or whether they just select the word definition. And this can be developed using images or text or sound. It can be developed by an instructor, or it can be developed by the language learner. Another tool that improves engagement and interaction in the classroom, and this is geared towards a physical classroom that uses technology, is Kahoot. Kahoot is displayed on the screen, either a smart screen or a projector, and the students use mobile device. This will work with laptops, but mobile devices are helpful, tablets or phones. The student puts in the pin shown on the screen and their own name, and then they see questions or images or videos and have a certain amount of time to respond with their answer. And so on the right shows a phone with what the student sees. They also see the screen on the left. And so for this, it's asking how you say, what is your name in Arabic? And then the student chooses the symbol or the color. And the symbols are used for those students who have trouble seeing colors. And it gives immediate feedback. Now the feedback on the phone, you can see that it shows whether the answer is correct or incorrect. It also gives a score. And the way that this works is that two students can get the answer correct. However, the student who answered correctly faster gets more points. And so you see it shows that you're in first place. And this ranks the students as they go along. Because it's timed and because the students are ranked, the students are excited and motivated and thinking about the answer faster than if this was not timed. This also has reporting for the instructor. some information. So even though the students are engaged, they're motivated, they're thinking about the answer to the question, you're still collecting performance reports on them behind the scenes. And so you can see their total scores, or you can see question summaries, or each individual question and how well the students did. This could be used to collect data on the students. It can be also be used if the students miss a question, such as question 3. One person got it correct. You could stop and the students could talk to each other and talk about what the correct answer is as the learning experience based on this formative assessment feedback. So to conclude, I just want to leave you with a few thoughts about selecting language tools. Tools should be used selected for the appropriate test or teaching method. They should provide enough personalized, timely feedback to support language learning. Assessment tasks should match learning tasks. And finally, technology should be transparent. And so we should look for tools that students are familiar using, or use them enough so that they are comfortable with using that technology before they complete the assessment.